Good evening, YouTube. Just waiting for Facebook here. Good evening. YouTube camera's looking a little fuzzy, but as always, this is not a video you need to watch. It's just something to listen to. So the title of tonight's video is Homesteading, Farming, Gardening, Wisdoms, Tips, Advice, stuff like that. It being, at least where I live, it being about springtime, I figured for people I would share some gardening, homesteading, animal keeping wisdom that I've learned the hard way after 6 years of hacking life out of the earth and trying to make a living from the land. I've gotten to know that aspect of the world pretty well. So I'm just gonna kind of follow my outline. I guess I'd like to start with the myth of self-sufficiency. It's a myth that you're ever going to solely make your living or provide everything you need from the land. This has never existed, really. I guess it has to some degree, but there's always been trade. You're always going to need to connect with the human world. If you look at these self-sufficiency type preppers, doomsday preppers, prepper types, all self-sufficiency, off the grid types. If you look at it, they're really not that self-sufficient because they're dependent on all the technology they use from other people. So spending a lot of money to have a little self-sufficient kingdom is cool and everything, but it's not really a feasible idea for most people. And what will work, I'll get into here a little bit in the video. This is not so intensive a video. This is just kind of me encouraging a seasonal behavior. As you feel that yearning that the world isn't right, that something is wrong here, as you seek your freedom from the system or your own stake in the world, many are drawn to the land, to live on it, to make a living or gain sustenance from it, to understand the natural systems, or get in touch with our roots as organic flesh, or our ancestors. I do believe often that is the beckoning of God calling people out of Babylon, out of the world of man and into the world that He made, so that He can show you His ways and His invisible attributes, which have been made known to man since the beginning of time through those things that have been made, the earth, the plants, the animals. Do you ever wish just to wander in the woods? What makes you find them so beautiful? Well, that's God speaking to you. There are many considerations when it comes into setting up your little homestead idea, pursuing gardening, or keeping some animals, something like that. This video here is a small fruit of 6 years experience trying to make a life off the land. I've grown or tried to grow pretty much everything. Had more failures than successes, but you learn more from defeat than you do victory. I originally moved onto my farm as a homestead, and then as worldly considerations took over, I pursued money with it, and all the hassles that came with that are kind of what drove me away. And then now I'm back to homesteading again. It's the difference between homesteading and like farming, like production farming. Is homesteading, you're just providing for yourself-ish. You're doing what works, you're doing a diversity of things. When you're doing it, as I say, pursuing mammon, as it says, pursuing mammon, if you're doing it the production, if you're serving God with farming, you farm with nature to provide resources, you know, for your family, for friends, maybe, yeah, for a little bit of money. But if you're farming to serve mammon, you know, you set up your farm completely differently. It's all about just maximizing dollars, and that's where I was going. And it was not fun for me. So, just worldly considerations when it comes to this stuff. Some interesting, you know, biblical wisdom. Jesus says, you know, no wise man or no man among you, something like that. No man builds a tower without counting the cost. One thing that can happen with this stuff is, you know, it can just be, oh, just a little bit, oh, just a little bit, oh, I just need this thing. And as we're very ignorant about these sorts of things, we don't really know what we need to do this stuff. So we think, oh, we just need this. Oh, no, we just need that. And it becomes this hamster wheel of bills, really. So just be wary of that. Really make sure you know what you're getting into. You know, if you don't, you'll learn. But, you know, to save you a lot of hassle, a lot of money, really make sure you kind of know what you're getting into, why. I'll get into that. Many verses in the Bible about the righteous dwelling in the land. You know, dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. The wicked shall not dwell in the land. There's something about the Spirit of God came over, particularly those who lived in the country. So I find that all very interesting. Also, when we look at Jesus' miracles, you notice that his magnification miracles, like with the fish, or like in Matthew 17 with the taxes, you know, where the coin was in the fish's mouth, you see both of those relating to natural created resources, not you know, money, not cash money. One experience I've had with my farming life that I've particularly enjoyed is how God will work with you while you're doing these kinds of things. And you know, there's been plenty of times where, like, I either I had like just enough of something, or everything just like so many perfect little coincidences where if I'm working righteously, I'm walking in faith, I'm doing the right things, like God like rewards my work, you know, where I'll have just enough when I thought I didn't, or I'll find some extra or something like that. Like, you get it? Whereas if I'm like, if I'm working angrily, or I'm working, you know, with a disobedient spirit attitude, like stuff will go wrong all the time, and there'll always be extra stuff added onto what I need to get done. And it's been an interesting experience, that's for sure. Build upon the rock of wisdom. Model after creation, or what you might call nature. Don't try to force your will. Work with the created system. Work with the laws of nature. Well, it says specifically, work with God, not against him. Therein you will learn about him. We can subdue nature and bend it to our purposes without destroying it. We can bend his laws and resources to our purposes without deciding to create our own. Think about leverage. You can lift a lot more with a lot less effort by manipulating and obeying what is created than trying to lift with your legs and back against gravity. Case in point, you don't need to mow a lawn if you have some animals to do it for you. And they produce something as well. See, God's system is better than ours. And what I appreciate about God's machines is they are also self-replicating. Big deal. So, some questions to ask yourself. What is your budget? What is your goals? What is your experience? If you don't have any of that, I'd highly recommend just getting a job on a farm this summer, something like that. You know, really get out, do it before you just kind of get into it. But do whatever, you know. What's your budget? Big deal. That's what it's all about, is whatever your budget is. That shapes everything you can do. And the larger your budget, the less wisdom you need, to be honest with you, right? But for those of us who don't have a whole lot of money to throw around at it, all this can seem very expensive, but we can really get started in it for very cheap. But we got to be smart. What are your goals? I think I asked earlier, what do you want to achieve from the whole experience, what are your resources? And that goes for money, that goes for any extra supplies you might have access to, from wood chips to, a wood lot so that you can harvest some trees for use, whatever. So extra supplies, land, what kind of land do you have access to? That's critical. But people also are your biggest resource. Who do you know that knows about this kind of stuff? Who do you know that can help you out? Who do you know that you might want to get involved with? Who will do it with you? Maybe risk cost share a little bit. What do you know? Make sure you go into this stuff. Do your research before you just kind of get into doing things. Or, you'll go outside and there'll be some dead chickens on your hands in the morning that you don't want to deal with. Where? Site location is key. Everything about your homestead is going to basically revolve around your land area in and of itself. What the land structure is like, soil structure, topography, drainage, all that kind of stuff. American agriculture is based on a one-size-fits-all program, but most of us, pretty much anybody who's going to be watching this video is going to be wanting to do things different, the more holistic, organic kind of way. And that being so, site location structure is it's crucial. That's what everything revolves around. This determines what you can do and how to set things up. Everything physically revolves around the site. I'm about to get to what I'm kind of up to here in a minute. I'm almost done with the paper. Short video. Just kind of a helpful food for thought for people thinking about getting into this, as spring might eventually come here sometime soon, maybe, if God wills it. So why? What is your objective? To make money, provide for yourself, independence, subsistence? Are you just chasing a feeling, a yearning, a sense of wonder and desire to learn all about life from the ground up? I totally understand all those things. Been there, done that. Go for it. If any of those answers are, go for it. Go learn. Go learn about life. How are you going to make this happen, right? Big one. You can figure it out. So right now what I'm up to is, it's called the Back to Eden Garden Method, and I'm hoping that I'm going to show off this system here in not too long, and people can watch as it develops, over the years, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. I got confirmation of my housing situation, but it wasn't necessarily the best. It wasn't very specific as to what I wanted, but hoping. And that's where you basically just pile up wood chips, no tilling. That way you're never disturbing the ground. It models a forest and how the woody / leafy material just builds up year after year, rots in place. The different sized particles rotting in place contribute to a varied soil texture, and a more natural soil structure, as well as healthier, which helps contribute to proper plant nutrition, disease, pest control, this, that, and the other. So, if you're looking for a way to set up your garden, I would highly recommend YouTubing what is called the Back to Eden method. And it's basically, just wood chips on top of wood chips on top of wood chips, and you let the created forces of nature take its course. But other than that, it looks like a pretty peachy system and seems to make a lot of reasonable scientific sense to me. And over the last year or so, I've been kind of playing around with using wood chips in the garden, and I've been very happy with what I've gotten out of them. Um, you can go, you can go see the kind of soil that is built up by that method is like forest topsoil, or if you mulch your yard with wood chips year after year, and you get that beautiful black top layer. Yeah, that's what your whole garden soil will be like, and the wood chips really hold in the moisture, and just works like a charm. I've done everything from growing on wood chips. I've done bare dirt with cultivation, using like hose and push cultivators. I've done growing on black plastic. So far, doing the wood chips thing is by far my favorite. We're hoping this year to do maybe some sheep, some goats. I don't know how many or how that's gonna work out. We're just gonna play around. Chickens are need to build a new chicken coop. Probably do a YouTube video for chicken coop considerations. Yeah, those are just some good, I think, things to think about when it comes time to go to the land, do the homesteading thing. Have your big garden, go for it. Go for it. Just be careful. It can be a real money pit. It can be a real backbreaker. It can be a lot of time and money spent on nothing. So just make sure you know what you're getting into, and you got a purpose behind what you're doing. So it can get very, especially since it's kind of a short season. It's winter, and then it's like spring for like how long in Michigan? Like a month and a half, and then it's summer, and then it's too late. So this is a good time, right, to think about what comes next. Prepare for the next stage of growth. Instead of sneering and being upset with the long winter, I try to be thankful that okay, I got more time to plan for when spring does come. So and then that way, when spring does come, you can be real organized, you can be ready to go, and then when the weather comes, you know exactly what to do. You got it all planned out. Follow your plan, but don't be afraid to modify it. It's crazy out there. Things can change real quick, and you can have momentary inspirations and things you want to try and all that. And these are all beautiful things, and I just encourage you to go for it. Let your kids see it. All of that. So, hope you're blessed. Thanks for listening. Bye.